Hi friends, today we're going to be talking about Castaway Curse. In this game, it's a 2 to 6 player game and you are one of a handful of castaways that shipwrecked on the island and you're the lone survivors. You are going to be eventually battling Captain Dreadred, who is over here on this side of the island. In order to battle Captain Dreadred, you're going to need to complete 3 conquest cards first, which gives you select goals that you need to complete based on the locations on the map. So on the map, you're going to see hamlets, villages, and forts. You get different points depending on which one you have taken over, and then there's certain areas you get points for as well. Once you finish your conquest card, you get to upgrade your person. So your character starts out as a castaway, and then as you complete 3 conquest cards, which is your goal, as you complete each one, you get to move up your character's skill level. They'll get to draw more cards or steal more doubloons for setting successful traps. So that's another thing that happens when you take over a place. As long as you put a weapon card down, you have staked your claim on that location, and anybody who comes to try to take it, if they fail, then you get to take money from them instead. So that's where the second part of this comes in, where you are stealing doubloons back from them. And you continue to upgrade your character until you've completed your 3 conquest cards. Now, not everybody is going to get to complete their 3 conquest cards. So this is one thing we noticed in a 4-player game. So for those of you, I don't know when you're watching, I don't know if civilization has completely eroded, but at this current time, we are all #self-quarantined, #social distancing, because the coronavirus has gone rampant. So we just had me and my husband, and we had to pretend to be 4 players, so we each played 2 characters. That was kind of fun, but what we noticed is that at a certain point, I had one character that temporarily rage quit out of my 2 characters because she just couldn't get her conquest cards. It wasn't happening. If I was to take over one location, somebody else was going to come in and try to complete it for their cards. So she just had the short end of the stick in that, and I figure that in a game with more players, you may just change your goals to try to get more gold, because that really is what ends up mattering at the end of the game, is having the most gold. So whether or not you complete those 3 conquest cards, that is just what you need to battle Captain Dreadred over here. Once he has been conquered, words are failing me, once he has been defeated, then the end of the game is triggered, and that's where you're going to count up your coins. But completing conquest cards is really beneficial, because if you do want to battle him, you do want to get access to his treasure chest and get more treasure. It's awesome. If you're done playing for the day, you're sick of it, you want to beat him so that you can be done, right? But also it's going to help you advantageously by leveling up your character. So if you were behind, I do suggest kind of going for the gold and changing your strategy a little bit. Now, some things I really love about this game: tactile experience. Something for me that I love so much is anything with goodies you get to hold on to. I love resource gathering, anything like that. I think the only thing that could have made this better tactilely is because there's a whole lot of card placement. So we have weapon cards and key cards here. I'll talk about those in a second. But the only thing that could have made it better for me is if these, tactilely, if these little tokens, which is what you use, your character gets a color. So let's pretend we're green. This is what you use to mark your territory. If you take this place over, you've put your weapon down. That's how you claim your spot. And then you put your little coinage on there, a little token. This for me isn't as exciting as this tactilely, so I think if this was a little pirate or something, I don't know, meeple, I'm not sure, something a little bit more tactile, but something more exciting to hold in my fingers. So you have weapon and key cards. These are what you need in order to raid areas on the map. You'll see places where your cards are, where they fit on the map. Those are where you're gonna have these come into play. So if we have a red key, things that we might be able to raid might be this village or this hamlet over here because they are red. This takes 2 red key cards and this takes 1. So you'll have to keep drawing as your turns come along. So your turns go in this order. You're going to collect based on if you have some areas already that were worth certain coin values. If you've taken over a region that's worth certain coin values, that's the first part of your turn. If you forget, sorry, you weren't greedy enough and you just don't get that money. So you want to make sure you don't forget that part of your turn, but then you are going to raid. So if there's any area that you want to take over, or if you're to the stage of battling Captain Dread Red, that is when that would come into play. And you need a weapon card if you are going to try to take over somebody else's territory. So let's say, for example, that green had a stake on this. I can't read upside down. Something hamlet. Let's just go with it. And you needed it for your conquest card. This person doesn't. This conquest card doesn't. But let's pretend. All right. And let's say you are yellow. And you want to defeat, what did I put there? I put a key there. We're not doing that. We're putting a weapon there. All right, so you want to take over that space because you need it to fulfill your goal. So what you're going to try to do is you're going to say, hey, I have a red, so that gains me access to being able to raid that space, but green's got their claim on it. We don't know what value their weapon card is. So we're hoping that we have in our little secret stash a weapon card that's going to defeat theirs. So you're going to play down some grenades and then you're going to flip theirs. You won. Luckily, you beat an iron mallet, and then you're going to get to, hopefully you have another weapon. If you don't have another weapon, you cannot claim that space, but you should have another weapon, and if you do, then you get to lay that down, and now it's yours. Okay, so another really fun thing about the game this brings us to is the creative storyline. This game has an awesome story behind it as you read through the rule book. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's very artfully done, very colorful story. And one of my other favorite things is the weapons cards. So the weapons cards are, this is my favorite. Coincidentally, we have Wilson, the volleyball. It doesn't say that. It's probably trademarked, right? But we all know whose volleyball this is, right? And then there was just one instance where I ended up battling Captain Dread Red, and I beat him with something, let's say it was like grenades versus laxatives. So there was a card of laxatives, and it can just create for a more fun, playful, laughter-filled experience. So that is awesome. Awesome. Okay. And this is the deluxe model of the game. So we do have some real coconut shells and this gorgeous little treasure chest. They're really nice details. And the fact that there's passports, you have your little token bag so people can't see how rich you are. This is where you put any coins you earn throughout the game. So another way to earn coins throughout your turns is when you do raid, you are successful, you're going to get coins based on the space. So this one, a hamlet, is going to be worth 5. And then if you're taking over a village or a fort, you're going to get 12 coins. So when I mentioned earlier that you can change your strategy if you know you're not ever going to get 3 of your conquest cards, you can start just raiding things that are going to up your coin value for the end of the game. So raiding forts is going to be really beneficial. A couple other perks to this game is that turns are very quick, especially in a 2-player game. They're going to take a little bit longer. Sorry, there's a fuzzy in the air. They're going to take a little bit longer in a multiplayer game because there's a lot more thinking involved when you have more people. It's just how things go, unfortunately, if you have constricted time like we do. We are very busy people. But 2-player turns go really quick, and you may end up having issues with turn order mattering. The starting player may have some sort of advantage, but what I really love about this game and the game makers is that they are all for changing the rules based on what you need. They've provided you with 3 alternate ways to play built right into the rule book. So I really love that, especially if you're somebody who gets bored of games easily. It's nice to be able to get alternative play out of using those strategies. One thing that we decided when we were playing 2-player versus multiplayer against ourselves, we decided to take out these cards that are called Twist of Fate cards. They add an element of randomness. They kind of throw a wrench in your strategy for that round, perhaps, by making you be able to steal things or losing things. They're sometimes advantageous, sometimes disadvantageous. I don't know. I can't talk. Anyway. So we would take those out for a multiplayer game because it ended up taking way too long with them in. There was some turns where we just kept grabbing them instead of the fact that we actually needed our weapon and key cards in order to move on with the game. That was a little bit of a stinker because the game ended up taking us 2 hours, which it does say that it is a longer gameplay potentially, but when you're playing with 2 players, it really doesn't take that long, especially once you know what you're doing. Once you've learned the rule books, it can go very quickly, and I do like that because I don't have a lot of time. In conclusion, I would recommend this game for older children to young adults. I would recommend it for somebody in the beginning stages of building their board game collection, or if you like something a little bit lighter. It's going to take you a minute to read the rule book, but it's not really complex. So and it's fun to read through the rule book. Luckily, they made a really fun story. I would recommend it for that particular group of people. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for advanced game players, but for anybody else, I do think it's a really great game. Awesome tactile experience. Like I said, that's really important to me. There's a lot of elements. There's a decent amount of chance built in with strategy. I love the characters. They made it really unique, and that's one thing that I super love. It's especially fun if you make a point to read out the different weapons, like a kitchen rolling pin versus a fireman's axe. That can make it, if you're with the right group of people, that makes for really great laughs. And reading the character cards in themselves is quite entertaining. For example, and this is my conclusion, we'll conclude with Emma, the software engineer. That is her Castaway phase. As she upgrades to thief, she becomes Emma, the vicious scallywag. And as she becomes a pirate, evil Emma, the scourge. Did I say that right? And then as she upgrades to her final phase of skill, as she upgrades to her final skill level, she becomes effervescent Emma the exquisite. Thanks for watching, guys.